So I'm Dan. I'm co-founder of Homeward for Heroes with my lovely bride, Laura. She's the other co-founder. We're here with the President and the Treasurer of Homeward for Heroes. We're going to do a little interview. We are very low-key. We love to facilitate around a campfire because that's where all the magic happens. So we felt it was appropriate. Kalispell Bods, Mods, and Rods was able to facilitate us in their back shop to do this. So it's a little warmer. It's winter outside, freezing cold. So this is awesome. We have Dave and Alicia Mitchell. And let's start off with Dave. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, why you feel it's important to be involved with Homeward for Heroes to you, and we'll go from there.
My name's Dave Mitchell. I work on hot rods, rat rods, custom cars, Jeeps. I do a lot of fabrication work. We live in a tiny house. We're getting ready to move this out here in a few days. For me personally, my thing is I've had a lot of friends that have passed away from suicide. My best friend passed away from suicide. I've had 3 fathers, and all 3 of them were veterans. One of them suffered from PTSD very bad. He's a Vietnam veteran. Didn't necessarily get a lot of the help he needed. He kind of self-medicated a lot with alcohol and stuff like that. So I got to firsthand see how people dealt with PTSD and how they weren't necessarily getting or taking advantage of everything that they could be getting help with PTSD there. But I've got kids and fathers and everyone else, a lot of other people that have been in the military, and this is my time to help out.
Okay, so I want to trace down something a little bit further. So, me being a former Marine, your stepfather being a former Marine, and I granted that you don't have as much knowledge of the VA department as he did and I do, but what personally to you makes you feel like he didn't reach out down
I think a lot of the military people do not like to go and get counseling. They like to bottle things up. They don't like to talk about things. And a lot of people they're strong people, and they feel like they're weak when they go out and do that. And going out on one of our treks, there's nothing that would make someone feel weak about doing that. It would. You get out there, it's camping, off-roading, overlanding,
around a campfire,
sitting around a campfire. If you want to talk about things, you can. You're not forced to talk about anything. It's more about having fun and interacting with other veterans and other people. And it's very helpful, and your wife or battle buddy could be there, and it actually helps connect you a little bit more.
So was there any, just thinking back just this last year in the involvement that you've had, has there been any situations there that really stood out to you?
Yes, there's many situations. We were off-roading in Moab, and one spot we had a couple of breakdowns, and the great thing with our group is everybody gets out, they get together, and they help everyone out. Another spot, there was a guy who was not part of our group. His motorcycle blew up, like the engine blew up through a rod, and they tracked us down because they saw us earlier that evening, or that day, and got us to come help them out, asked us, and we were like, no problem. We ended up going out and with the vets that were with us, and we all teamed together to help that guy and pack that guy and his motorcycle out of Hell's Revenge Trail in Moab. There's many instances where we go and help we try to help everyone out on the trail, no matter if they're part of our group or on their own. I mean, when you're out in the woods, you got to help people out, and that's what this is all about.
Right.
And not just being out in the woods, but we try to help everyone out all the time.
Right. So what you're saying is that even though we have our mission and we're out there doing, you know, what we have planned, when we come across other people, we just all jump and help anybody and everybody out is kind of what I'm gathering.
Yeah, it's good to show everyone, to help everyone out.
Exactly.
And it's good team building skills for everyone too, because everybody learns to work together in different instances.
It's kind of unplanned missions
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
you know,
right.
we can't, you know, necessarily plan for, but yet it's really neat to see everybody come together and work together as a team towards a mission, regardless of whether it be planned or not.
So outside of the fact that you're the president of Homeward for Heroes, as far as on the directs, what's your role and what's your primary focus?
My role on the treks is, right now especially, is I'm a mechanic, so I help patch people's rigs together as much as I can to get them off the trail, and so far we've been successful with that. We haven't had anything real bad.
Well, we did have on Moab there, we had a radiator hose go out, a motor mount broke, a front axle shaft break. You know, so there was stuff happening on that one, wasn't there?
We've been able to drive out.
Luckily, it was the last day.
Yeah, but that was also the hardest trail, I think.
It was hard. That was very good bonding that I saw on that.
And everybody worked together on that. It was great.
It was nice. It was just flowing, you know. It's like at work I have to tell people, but here it was just like everybody just looked and they were like, what can I do? What can I do?
And we had two vehicles broke down at the same time, and we were blocking the trail for other people, and we got everything fixed within about an hour, I think.
Right.
And we're able to keep moving.
And it was neat because the other rigs, you know, like went and moved their rigs ahead of the trail so that, you know, we could make way for other people to go around us, and then people jumped in to, you know, that had mechanicking skills and helped those that were broken down on the trail to get them back up and running. You know, there were multiple pictures taken, there were multiple, you know, conversations and how we can get these broken rigs up through the rest of this obstacle if they can't make it. You know, I mean, it was an overall, general, completely team building skill that we never even figured.
Planned on.
Planned on, exactly.
And another really good thing too that happened is you ladies kind of cleaned up after us, after we got our rigs moved off the trail and everything, and cleaned up after all the mechanic work, because
that's really the point of being good stewards.
Lightly
Exactly.
in the woods. We are very respectful of all of our trails that we're on.
Exactly. We try to, you know, focus on leave no trace behind. You know, whether we're camping, whether we're four-wheeling, whether we're, you know,
we're spec ops out doing a mission. No trace, we weren't there.
You know, but that was the one thing is you two were focused on getting the rest of the team up the hill after everybody got up and running again. And Alicia and I were focused on covering up any spills or you know, picking them up or picking anything up that was on the ground, you know.
Shrapnel or
making sure that people came behind us, you know, that they wouldn't know that we were there.
Okay, so now moving on. Alicia, the treasurer of Homeward for Heroes. What is your reason for being part of Homeward for Heroes?
My reason of being part of Homeward for Heroes is I had a dad that was in the military. He was a Vietnam vet. He would not speak of anything that happened to him while he was over there. So I do it in honor of him. The only time he started speaking of it was shortly before he passed, and that was with my oldest son, who also was military. And so I just want to be able to give voices to other people that need to find somebody to talk to, whether it be us or hopefully somebody else that's on our track, to be able to find somebody to speak to and not go on down a dark trail.
So do you feel like same as Dave, that, you know, he just felt like he could only really talk to somebody that had prior experience in something similar versus, I mean, because the VA offers all kinds of great stuff, but it seemed like a lot of military people are hesitant to go down that path for some reason or another.
I think he was, and I think that's why he opened up to my son, is because he was military and he figured he'd understand and know.
Okay.
Because there is a whole thing about vets trust vets.
Right, veterans do trust veterans. I can agree with that being one.
Right. So that's probably why he did that. However,
You know, he was very quiet most of the time about it. He'd like to know what he did and what he went through, but he just would not. He wouldn't even, he'd buy stuff saying he was a Vietnam vet, but he'd never wear it. He wanted to support it, but he'd never show it out.
So when we're out on mission, how does your role play?
Sometimes ask a lot of questions of, you know, who am I and why am I doing this?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because I'm still finding my niche overall, where, you know, Dave is a mechanic. I don't necessarily feel that I have the same things to put towards. I've lost a child, so I know what loss is like. I've lost my father. I've lost other people in my family, but nothing due to suicide, PTSD, anything like that. So I'm still trying to figure out where I'm at with it. I have a creative side I sometimes think is where I'm at, whether it be with swag type things or just a bit as a thank you and we appreciate
you know,
what we do.
I'd like to interject on that too, because, you know, from my standpoint on when we've actually been out on missions, is that you're a huge...
I see you always in the side shadows talking to people, really.
Right, that's what I'm
you.
trying to get with. You're a huge behind-the-scenes person that really encourages people and supports why they're there. You're behind the scenes going around and making sure that every single person that is on our truck is taken care of.
You know, I mean, it's interesting the way, I mean, I can almost see it as kind of the mama bear of the track. You know, it's like you're standing in the back and you're looking at all the children out there, and it's like, okay, you're unsafe, or here, let me help you out.
Oh, you're too close to the edge. You know, come on over this way. We don't want anyone to be injured. You know, or
moving into 2020. 2020 looks like a really big year after, you know, last year we planned one mission, we did 6. Thank God people stood up to the plate and funded this whole thing. Where do you guys see Homeward for Heroes going in 2020?
Trying to make awareness of who we are more so than where we've been at for this first year that Dave and I have been along with the company, with the organization, is getting us more out there, getting people to know who we are, what we do, how we can facilitate them, how we can grow. We can get more
This
involved.
year, we can do double the treks as long as we get funding and everything like that for it. Because we've got the demand to go on the treks. It's just being able to take people out on the treks and everything. That's the big thing that...
so one of the applicants of one of our 2019 treks that I had direct communication with. Since then, we've been in contact with them, you know, every holiday, even not a holiday. How you doing? Please let us know how your surgery went. It's made a difference to him. It really has been like, he's wrote back, I am so blessed to have never have met you, but that you still care enough to reach out to me personally. And he has since changed his Jeep so he can drive, so he can come on one of our 2020 treks. He's a first responder, and, you know, we're looking forward to having him. He's on track to hopefully come with us on one of our 2020 treks. I'm thinking Colorado is what he's planning to. But, sky's the limit, and we're looking forward to having him. And, I think it's just simply keeping in touch and having that personal relationship with each and every one to make sure that they feel like they're important, that somebody cares for them versus, you know, you go through this regimented course and you're kicked out the door on the other end and there's no follow-up. We have follow-up and we have personal follow-up, and I think that's very important.
And not only with us, there's been a lot of bonds that have been made through people on our treks or on our missions.
Yep.
That have made a very
Right.
serious bond with one another, and that was really cool to watch.
And you should
Yeah,
see
you know,
her.
one of those individuals that I mean, the first guy that pops in my mind when you said that is that we've had a gentleman that we've touched bases with multiple times throughout the year. He's not come to any of our treks yet. He's been to some of our events, and you know, he said that he's been to 5 regimented PTSD courses
throughout the
and
United States.
throughout the United States. I mean, that's huge. And how he just sees such a difference in the need and is enjoying that when his life frees up enough where he can come on a track that he can go, because of how we all bond and how we all just care for each other and make these lasting relationships and the whole follow-up. You know, it's like you guys have already followed up more than any of these other courses have combined, you know, just, and we haven't done too much with it besides him showing up to a couple of small events, you know. I think that's huge, you know, it just reinforces my niche. I mean, doing Homeward for Heroes has been definitely a healing process for me. And, you know, it gives me more hunger to go down that road, so to speak.
I think it was a great thing too when we were out on the Moab trek, when the wives flew in and they were only planning on staying there for a day or two, and they had plane tickets and everything bought to take off, and they enjoyed our trek so much that they stayed the full trek.
Yeah, and then they
Their
even
husbands.
drove all the way back. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah, and drove-
multiple
yeah.
day trek going back home.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff like that shows we are impacting a lot of lives.
And Alicia, like you were talking about, you know, on day 2 on Hell's Revenge, tell us a little bit about what happened there. That was cool.
Having, you know, we had one that had come. He had come from Colorado
By himself.
by himself, wrecked his vehicle on the way down there, still came the rest of the way. Tried to get his vehicle fixed by the time we could do that second day trek. Couldn't get it done, so, you know, we had waited for him to get there to get his parts. He decided that he would ride with one of our other people, and they've made a bond that has been really cool to see how tight they've become since then.
Right. You know, and the cool thing I always like is the fact that, you know, the gentleman they jumped in with was an older gentleman, and he's a younger kid. You know, so there's quite the difference in perception of life and how they bonded so well. You know, I mean, it was just awesome. You know, it's like the whole thing. Veterans open to veterans. It doesn't matter the age. We're all a band of brothers, so to speak, or sisters. We're a big family.
So I thought what was cool was day 3, he finally had his rig up and running. And we did Top of the World. And I did a lot of walking and trail guiding that day. And he had finally reached Top of the World. It was on his bucket list. And we hadn't, you know. But as he's coming down and I'm walking past his rig to hop back in to ride for a little bit because I was exhausted, he stopped me and he's like, "Hey, I just want you to know, thank you personally for what you guys have been able to do for me. You will never know what it means to me." And was almost in tears.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me right there, one love.